For today's webinar, we're going to show control application, the new option we have for Scriptcase 9, which is the manual HTML, for you to set the HTML manually. This application is, in fact, it's like a copy of the form application. The difference between the control and the form is that inside the control application you have, it's like an empty form. You are able to create the fields manually, and you will assign to the fields the events, and inside the events you will program what you need from that field. I saw some customers already creating actually real forms using control application, but it's most used for example, validation forms. We always give as an example the login form, because this is just to verify an information within the database, and then returns an answer, and you will treat this answer in the case of the login screen, for example, if the user is valid, if the password is correct. So this is how usually you can use the control application. The form is more complex because you have different validations and so on. But if you have a simple form, for example, contact form, you don't need to use the form application. You can use also the control, and I'm going to show you here an example today. Okay, so if you select this option to set the template manually, you will create a complete different control application. It's like a new application we have inside Scriptcase. So you will check this option here, and Scriptcase will show you special options for this control, for this manual control. If you forget to check here this option, it's not possible inside the control to change. So if you want to create a manual control and you forget to check here this option, you have to delete and create again, because inside the normal control, let's say let's call like this, it's not possible to convert, okay, because they are, as I said, like different applications. Okay, so you will set here and create. When you create the control with the manual HTML, you are going to find some special options, and if you create without the manual HTML, you will have different options according to the application. So for this, we removed some options from the control, for example, authentications, because those options are available just for the normal control. Okay, for the manual control, you will have to set everything manually. And then you are free to create the template you want and the way you want, because you are just going to use some specific functions from Scriptcase, and you will be able to see all these functions by clicking here inside the check options. As you can see, we have added already an example here, and all the options here are like checked, they are okay. But if I remove, for example, I will remove these two and check again, I will see that I'm missing these two required markups. Okay, and if I put that again and check, it will be okay. So you have some markups that they are required, you have some optional, and you have some tips. So let me explain you the difference here and how you can use each of them. So first, you see that you have an area here where you can type HTML. You have another where you can type CSS and JavaScript. Okay, so it's like you are creating the three files. If you need to use CSS, for example, inside this file, you need to call the CSS file. So this is what this line is doing. If you see here, we are just calling a CSS file. So this CSS file is everything you type here. From behind, Scriptcase will create a file. If you decide to use JavaScript, again, you have this line. This is for to call the JavaScript file. Okay, so you can find them here, CSS file. So this is the line. And here, JavaScript file, you just need to add this line. You always have a little information here inside the markups. So if you have some specific JavaScript functions, you can save them in a separate file, and then you'll be able to edit this option inside the edit.js, what is exactly here. Okay, and inside the HTML you will call using this line, normally as you do with any other HTML. Okay, so you have the option to apply error messages. So this is also JavaScript. So for example, you need to set error message. You will copy this, then you go to JavaScript, you apply here. So this is going to show up a message, then you type the message in here. Okay, and then inside the HTML you will call the message, or it's going to work already just by adding the function in here. This option for the libraries, those are for you to use external libraries. So you have two ways to create your control application. You can create like this, like I'm doing, using these three files, or you can also use external libraries. For this case, I can just call an external library here inside the HTML. For example, I import CSS libraries such as Material Design or Bootstrap or any other JS library. Then I go here, I go to external library, I import the library, tools, external library. I go here, I create a new library, I import the library, and then I have to call this library inside the HTML head, so I can use the functions or the classes from this library. So every time I use an external library, I'll have to call the library. So this is how you call. If it's a public library, usually you create as public. So you just copy this link, and you will say here, you see where you need to paste the line. So inside the head, so you go there inside the head and you call the library. You just need to watch here the path. So for example, let's see one example here inside this samples that I already have. If I edit, let's say I want to use Bootstrap, for example. So I have here Bootstrap library. Okay, and then inside Bootstrap, I want to use this file, for example, bootstrap.css. So I go to my line here, then I'm calling the library, then I say here samples, okay, because we have the samples, which is the first folder, and then I have libs. Let me go back for you to see. So I have samples, then I have libs, then I have CSS, Bootstrap, because it was, let me go again. Okay, libs, Bootstrap, CSS, and then bootstrap.css. So I go there, samples, libs, then Bootstrap, then bootstrap.css. Okay, so this is just the normal process you already do when you are coding CSS and HTML. So you will call the library from imported on Scriptcase, and then call here the path for you to access the file. Then you can use the classes, Bootstrap classes, from inside this file here on your HTML. Okay, so this is the process. Then you have the lines for you to include libraries according to the level. We have a Scriptcase level, we have public level, and project level. Scriptcase level is the one we give to you already inside Scriptcase, so we are not able to edit Scriptcase levels libraries. You are able to edit public or project libraries, because when you go to create here, let me create a new one. It will ask you if you want to create in the public level or project level. Okay, so Scriptcase level you're not able to create, because those are the ones we deliver. For example, this samples is Scriptcase level, because we are delivering already inside Scriptcase. Okay, so back here to the control, this is the way you import a library to the code, and then you have to add all the required markups. Those are just for you to have some functions from Scriptcase. This one, for example, scjs underscore lib. This is going to include all the JavaScript functions used by Scriptcase for control applications. Okay, so this is just to guarantee that you can use all the functions from Scriptcase inside your customized HTML. You have also here the optional, it's just the page title. In this case, if you add the page title, it's going to get the name of the application name, control, in this example, just for you to have a page title, okay, and so on. So let's say you want to create, for example, you go to the internet and then you find amazing templates, Bootstrap, material design, semantic, and there are so many templates out there for you to grab on the internet. So if you find a template, you can bring this template to your control and then just add the required markups. Okay, so this is the one way you have to create the template here inside the control application. This is a very simple way. You will type the codes here and add the markups. And there is another way, and this way you can use 100% an external library. You can create your template as a library. In this way you are able to use the same template for several projects, or you can use for different applications, different projects, different users, because if you create a template in here, it will be available just for this control you are creating. So let's say you want to use the same, it's a login screen, for example, and then you want to use the same for different applications or different projects. You have to copy and then import or export. So if you create as a library, it's like a master, a superclass. It's going to be available for all the project and for all Scriptcase. So how you create using a library, this is going to be in the same way you are creating here, but instead you are going to use a library. So I go again there, let's create here a new one. So test, I go public or project, create. So I go here to my use library and edit. So no file, I can create a new file or a new directory. So I would have to create, for example, CSS directory, JavaScript directory, image directory, and then inside the directories I will create the files, test.html. So this is the main one, for example, and then here I will create normally just using the same markups. Okay, if I go here, for example, Scriptcase is going to recognize, let me save. When I create any type of library here and I go back to the control, I can go to external library, use an external library, then inside it should be inside public. Let me save there, close, use library and save. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, it's showing now. So this is my test library. If I choose this one and check, I will see that I'll have to check some of the required options inside the test library. Okay, this is the same way you have when you are using here inside the control application. Okay, so I have to go there and set everything inside the library. We have one inside this sample project, and this library is going to, when you download version 9, this library is going to be available inside every project you create, but it is going to be not active. If you go like it's going to be like this, deactivated, disabled. What is the difference? When you enable, when you check here to use the libraries, it means the Scriptcase will add all these files inside your project. If it's not being used, the library is there, but when you deploy the projects, the file will not be included. The files will just be included when you use the library. Okay, so when every project you create inside Scriptcase, and if you go here to external libraries, you will always see the samples inside Scriptcase 9, because here is where we are storing all the templates we are preparing for you, the templates for the menu application, for the control application, all the templates we are adding inside this samples external library. Okay, but it's going to be like this, so you just need to use and edit if you need, or copy, or do whatever you want. Okay, so here you can see, for example, inside libs we have one Bootstrap library and we have a jQuery library. This is the Bootstrap tree, I guess, if I'm not mistake, and then you have all Bootstrap files here, and you have some templates. We have templates for menu, we saw when we did the menu last week, and we have also templates for login and forms. Okay, so those are the ones we can use for the control application. The login, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, so this is the HTML. As you can see, the same way we did in there, you have here the HTML page, then you have the markups from Scriptcase. You are calling here the file, the CSS file. You are calling here, this is a class from Bootstrap for a responsive design. Then we are designing the form, and we have some fields inside this form, and I'm going to show you how to create the fields inside the control. Okay, so let me cancel here. Let's go back to the control. Instead of using this one, I'm going to use the samples login 1, for example. Then I'll check to see if I have all the markups. Yes, it says that all the markups are fine. And then if I try to run, it's going to give me an error, I guess. Let me see. Yes, saying that the fields are not defined. Okay, so I have to define the fields, because inside this example we have some fields here, and I need to inform to the control application how I want to have these fields. So back here, I will go create fields. It is going to recognize that I have 3 fields inside the control. One field for login, another one for links, and another one for password. So the login is okay, text, menu links. This is a special field that I have for me to add links to a login screen, for example, or to a form. So I will type here the option, the data type as menu link. Okay, you can also have selection, data time, number, etc. So let's save. You will see that when we create the fields here, the fields will be also here inside the fields options. So let me delete to show you again, because it was closed. So I have no fields right now. Then if I go back here, create fields. Okay, save. You see the fields will appear here. So here inside I can set up the field, for example, password field. Then I can use here a Scriptcase options to customize here my fields. For the password, we can use, for example, the password type. If I check this option, Scriptcase will hide the when you type the password, it will appear just points, not the password itself. Okay, so for the menu links, I have also some special settings. For example, here I need to add what I want to link. It can be, for example, if you have a login screen, you might have a link for you to define a new user or to reset the password. So this type of links you can create by using this menu links. So let's add here, for example, an application. So I insert the label. I create this link, can be an external link or a link from the project. You can call an application. So let's call just this application as a test. Insert. Okay. So when I run the application now, I'll have the template. And this is the menu link. If I go here, it opens an application. And I have the password in user, the password using password type. I do not see the password. Okay, so this template is the one we included inside the samples. You have more templates and you're going to do every time the same thing, because you can also change the fields. We are adding here, for example, user and password, but maybe this is not the field you need. Then you just go to the external library and add fields or remove fields or change the fields. Okay, so let's test another one. Let's test a form now. I have two forms. I will test this one. So if I check here, just the markups for the fields are missing, but let me create here the fields. So I have password, email, last name, name, and user. Okay, save. Let me run. And then it shows a contact form or a simple form for me. And the same way I can create any other type of form or login application. And this control application is related to the security model. I'm going to do a special webinar on Thursday just for the security model, just to show all the news inside the security model. But I can show you today how you will integrate the control with the security. So as you saw, we have two options to create the control, the customized control. You can use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript directly here inside the application, or you can use as an external library. Okay, so you will store everything here. For example, images, we are using this image. This is the logo from Scriptcase. Where is this image? The image are all here inside the image folder. So we are just calling this image. The same thing with any other thing you need. You can organize everything here inside this external library folder. And then inside the control, you will just call, check to see if you have all the markups, create the fields, customize the fields, and that's all. Okay, I guess the option using external library is more handy because you can use for other projects as well. You can use inside the current project, and if you need for other projects, you can also have this everything already created and so on. You have this option here to preview the template. Okay. And for you to add this option to the security model, it's going to be like this. You create the security model. The security model is like a system you attach to your system. Okay, so it creates the model according to the level. As you guys know, you have user, application, group. So let's create just the user for me to show you. Here we are creating the tables. There is this new for the security. I'm going to show you on Thursday for you to create a link with social networks. Okay, table created, association done. Here we are going to configure some options. Okay, so for example, for the menu application, you can create a menu application and attach this menu application to your security. We have here some menu applications. I can, for example, apply this menu application, and then my security will be inside the menu that I already have. The security model will create all the applications you need to manage the authentication and security for your system, and it includes a login screen. So in this, for the Scriptcase 8, the login screen was fixed, just one login screen created by Scriptcase. It's a control application, and you had to customize using the layout options. For the Scriptcase 9, you can do the same, but you can also attach the controls, the templates you create to the security flows. So when you go here, this is how you attach to the menu. This is one example. And to the login application, you will attach here inside the login option, you will have this option here, use a login template, yes or no. If you say no, it's going to apply the default from Scriptcase. If you say yes, it's going to enable this drop down for you to select the template. So you have here all the templates from Scriptcase, and you have already the public we have created. So you can create your own templates, apply here, and Scriptcase is going to create a control application already using this template you design. Okay, so this is also very interesting because you can customize your logins, your login application very easily now. Okay, so this is how you will attach your control application to the security model. Let me go back here to the control application. Let me see if I'm missing something. So this is very easy to do. You have two ways, as I said. Then this is just you design the control, then you have to check here. And depending, according to the template you have, it will show more options. As you could see, for this second form, I have here more optionals according to the fields. And then you check one by one. If you click, you have a small tip explaining where you're going to add. You can copy the line and add inside the HTML, and then create the fields and run the control. You can also, of course, use the events if you want to validate anything you want you need to validate inside the control. Okay, let me show the options from Scriptcase 9. John is asking here for me to show. So let me go here to login. So this is the first one. This is the second one. And they are all responsive because, as you saw, we are using Bootstrap for those. We have this one. And then you can change the image, of course, and customize the colors. Okay, so those are the options we have here. And you can also import some options from the internet to apply to your projects. And not only login screen, but also contact forms, for example, for you to apply to your website. It's easier than to use a form application. Because the form application, it's more complex, you have more validations and master details and etc. for bigger forms. So guys, thank you very much again for attending. Let me leave here my email address. It's marsha@scriptcase.net. So please just let me know if you have further questions, okay?